Brandon Robinson, please do follow him on Twitter as well. So Brandon, you had it on Twitter, and what it was about Kevin Durant, as I pull it up right here. You had spoke to a source today who confirmed Kevin Durant will be an LA Laker next year, just like LeBron planned his move. LA a year or more earlier. KD is doing the same right now. They want to form the best duo in the NBA and set up KD to be the face of the Lakers post LeBron. Thank you so much for joining us, by the way. Really appreciate it. So first off, how did you come about researching this scoop? And as you alluded to on Twitter, like, you're just bringing the facts to the situation. It is not an absolute concrete done deal. We still have an 82-game season to be played. But in the end, do you believe that this is going to come to fruition?
I think it's possible, but I'll tell you, the feedback that I got on Twitter, it made me feel like my man's sound effect a little earlier. I was like, dude! People on Twitter were definitely giving me a hard time. But when you look at Kevin Durant and what he's been able to bring to Golden State this season, he's won 2 championships. And you know, that team has a Klay Thompson issue. You know, will he stay, will he go? There's been rumors that the Lakers are a team that are of interest. His dad was on ESPN, Michael Thompson, saying, a former Laker, by the way, that said that could happen. But I think when you look at Kevin Durant, he's given everything he could give to the Golden State Warriors. And like you said, I do think it's an 82-game season, but I do think at the very least the move is intriguing.
I had a question for you, Scoop. How much of this, in your mind or in your source's mind, has to do with the fact that people are still relentlessly trolling Kevin Durant about his move to the Warriors? It feels like he thought that after a couple of championships that may subside when it's actually gotten a little bit stronger. So how much of that is he wants to move away from that type of, you know, you went with the dynasty type of thing to do something, you know, something different on its own?
I think when players at large, I don't think this is just a Kevin Durant issue. I think players at large don't really take social media and fans into perspective. I think they're looking at their legacies. I think they're looking at their brands. And I think when you look at Kevin Durant currently in Golden State, for example, you're taking advantage of the tech industry. You know, you're around smart guys like Andre Iguodala, who's invested in, you know, you have Napa, so you have the wine, you have that whole lifestyle. The Warriors do open an arena in actually the city of San Francisco next year. But I think more than anything with Kevin Durant, I think that he's looking at whatever decision he makes. And guys like Kyrie Irving have to make similar decisions next summer. The long form, you know, they're coming into a next contract that is a coming of age. You know, this is where you cement your legacy and you make choices. And I'll add this. When you look at players in the 90s, that a lot of these players in the 90s and the 2000s that they grew up looking at, or even on classic sports, you saw guys like Charles Barkley, who was loyal to, you know, the Sixers and then going to Phoenix and coming up short. You see Karl Malone and John Stockton, who were just good enough against the Chicago Bulls. You look at Kevin Garnett, who just made it going to Boston and waiving his no-trade clause. I think that in the case of Kevin Durant, however, I think a lot of these guys look at players like that and look at legacy. It's the AAU culture that has become the NBA. Players want to go with their friends. They want to win championships. And I think there's no loyalty to teams like there once was.
I agree with that. And just to, I guess, to just bring another angle to the table, I agree in the sense that I don't see KD staying in Golden State. And as a Laker fan, I'd love to see him come to LA. Sure. But I also see there being a possibility, and you tell me what you think and maybe what your sources might think, of him maybe returning to OKC and redeeming himself there and possibly just continue or maybe adding to the legacy that he left behind there. What are your thoughts on that?
It would be nice. I don't see it just because I think OKC on paper, you have Paul George, you have a Russell Westbrook who is, you know, recovering and will be fine in the long run. I think you're looking at championships. I think that chapter is done. It's kind of like, I'm not comparing OKC to this, but once you've gotten a Ford and you've gotten a Lamborghini, why would you go back to Ford?
Well, some might say the same thing with LeBron when he returned to Cleveland after making that move to Miami.
That's valid. I think there was a different set of circumstances with LeBron. When you looked at what LeBron brought to the table in Cleveland for years, it was kind of like Allen Iverson when he was in Philadelphia. He was this talent that was carrying a team and then went somewhere else and learned the winning way. So I guess as I'm talking, I can see what you're saying, but at the same time, I just think that Lakers team is intriguing for Kevin Durant. Right. But I also I think you have just young bodies on that team. You have Kyle Kuzma, who I believe is going to have a phenomenal season. Many talk about what LeBron is going to be able to do. Some talk about what Lonzo is going to do. But I think Kyle Kuzma and Brandon Ingram are going to really bring it this season. So you add a piece in Kevin Durant that could legitimately just not even take anything away. It's kind of like when Boogie came to Golden State. You just added a piece to the Lakers.
Right.
But we're talking 2 seasons down the line. We haven't even tipped the ball off for 2018, 2019 season. But I just want to bring something up really quick, if I may.
Sure.
And when I spoke to my source on Sunday night, one of the things that my source actually added in the conversation was this, and it actually came to fruition pretty much. My source told me Sunday night that LeBron James was going to be a guest and I tweeted it, a guest on a show that Kevin Durant was producing, and the show would air. My source was a little off, but if you look at LeBron James's Instagram account, he announced last night that he'll be on a show that Jay Williams is actually hosting, and it's through LeBron's Spring Hill Entertainment. So I know a lot of people are looking at me like I'm crazy, but that story was actually picked up the same day that Kevin Durant thing kind of went wild, and it kind of went under the rug. So I'm not just rapid firing and throwing crazy things out. There are some validities there, and I'm going to trust my source on this one.
Alrighty, Scoop, I got one more for you. So we talked about, well, Denise rather brought it up, about a possible reunion with Oklahoma City. You mentioned Los Angeles, and I also see that happening if he just gets sick and tired of winning championships, which, again, it's almost dumbfounding my own self to say. Like, you're getting sick of being too good. But however, if he were to test free agency again, right, and he has a 1-and-1, so he could easily exercise that player option, enter free agency next offseason. Your source is telling you the Lakers. You didn't really feel, Denise, when she was saying Oklahoma City. Is there one other team that you see as a good fit for Kevin Durant? Again, I know there are a lot of moving pieces here because there's so many great free agents, but do you see one team, one other team?
I do, and Denise, we're still cool.
I'm glad we are.
Yes, ma'am. I just followed you on Twitter. Follow a brother back. But what I think
wait, hang on, pause. You're digging for a follow back already? Like, dude, we just had you on the show, and he's already too comfortable with us.
If I'm not already following you, I'm sorry for disrespecting. If I'm not already following, that's
she literally pulled out her phone, by the way.
That's
okay, yes, continue, please.
Shooting your shot on live TV. No, but honestly, I think that the other team that's legitimately in play is the New York Knicks. And I'm not saying that because that's home base, but when you look at what the Knicks bring to the table, reportedly Kyrie Irving has interest in the Knicks as well as potentially the Nets. You look at Adrian Wojnarowski just put out a tweet a little while ago saying that Jimmy Butler's teams of interest are the Nets, the Knicks, and there's one other team. I don't have that handy right now. I haven't had my afternoon coffee either. But
Clippers.
You look at Kevin Durant right now, the Knicks are basically preparing themselves this season the same way the Lakers did last offseason.
What about Washington?
You know what's funny? I like the Washington Wizards. I like them because they added Dwight Howard, and I think that's going to be a sleeper team in the Eastern Conference. And I think John Wall has a lot to prove this season. I think while everybody's talking about Philadelphia and talking about Boston, I really do think that the Washington Wizards have a lot to offer, as do the Indiana Pacers. To your direct question about Kevin Durant in Washington, well, that's home base. A guy from Seat Pleasant, Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C. He grew up in both. I think that the Washington Wizards are an intriguing team. You have his former head coach there. There's a relationship and rapport there. He knows John Wall very well as well. They've played in celebrity basketball games. The Wizards are a team of intrigue, but maybe I'll put that as in my top three. But the three that I look at the most, four I'll say, is either a stay in Golden State, but most importantly, the Los Angeles Lakers, the New York Knicks, stay with the Warriors, or the Washington Wizards. But the Lakers are on my top.
Okay, see, I like that. We had a whole conversation. Okay, I'm good. I'll unfollow. No big deal.
I think at the end of the day, it's going to be the Lakers or it's going to be the New York Knicks. Those are the two popular teams right now. It's still a long season left to play, but anything can happen in the NBA. And I also think it depends on what the Warriors actually do in the finals. Everybody's just giving the Warriors a pass like it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to win the finals.
Mm-hmm. All righty, Scoop, we really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for joining us here on TYT Sports. And please do check out Scoop's radio show at Scoopy Radio. Much appreciated.
Thanks for having me, y'all.
Alrighty, for everybody watching on the live stream, we certainly do appreciate it. YouTube super chat, and please do continue to check us out at youtube.com/TYT Sports. We'll see you next time. Do you guys want full TYT episodes? Yeah! So download YouTube TV and get a 7-day free week trial.